To understand that, you have to understand the whole process of what the Shekhinah is and what it means to have the presence with us. And so, the Shekhinah is the living presence of God, which we've spoken about, right? It's the tangible experience of God's presence. It's the awareness that God is real, feeling our whole consciousness. It's the whole earth is alive with the knowledge of God. It's the creative power of the divine infusing the minds of human beings everywhere. I wouldn't say that's exactly where we are right now. So what the Shekhinah is, the embodiment of the divine, that's it's the creative force. So it's different things. One thing is the creative force that joins spirit and matter together, heaven and earth. So it's that force that connects it all, that force that makes it alive, that makes everything full and real. And the Shekhinah energy, when it's in the bottom, it doesn't stay there. That's where it normally rests. So the bottom expression of the Shekhinah energy is its physical manifestation, which is alive and flowing. In this world, the creative power is very powerful. We have everything grows. We have millions and millions of life forms. That energy is flowing through people all over the place to create life and to create, all kinds of things. And so in that sense, the Shekhinah is alive, but that's actually its lowest manifestation. And so this is Lechadodi. Again, everyone has to think of the Lechadodi prayer as a spiritual communion with the divine. And we begin with, the Shekhinah is in exile. What does it mean? The Shekhinah is in exile. So, let's even take what I just said, pull it back a step. Hold on here. Looking at this world, even that physical power is not as it should be. The whole planet's out of kilter. The balance is wrong. Our relationship to the Shekhinah, our relationship to the planet itself is out of harmony, out of balance. So that's the Shekhinah in the lowest center, in its lowest way. Really, well, the lowest way would be to be no life, but thank God we're not there. But we're in danger of going in that direction. So the first level is just to even get that lowest center moving into its highest elements. But then it has to start to go up through the centers, and each center awakens another level of life. So in a way, you could say the bottom line, which is just like the physical mineral earth, right? That's more or less all right and functioning. Already the next level, which is plant life, your sword is plant life. That level's not as it should be. That's, all the things that are happening everywhere. And then the next level, and that's a hard, is the animal kingdom, the animal life, and the animal beings that we are. And that whole kingdom is also completely, out of kilter. We're losing extinction animals, and our relations to them are all wrong. And so that's just getting it up there, which are the three planes that really we live in this world. And then it's connecting it and opening the heart and awakening the soul kingdom with the power of the Shekhinah. When that happens, then we awaken that tangible experience that God is real. That means everybody has a feeling that God is real. They may not completely experience the kingdom of heaven, but they're not walking around saying there's no God. All you can see is what's here physical. They know there's something more. It's common knowledge. And that's what was the great experience at the height of the temple, when everything was flowing and Israel was at its fullest development, and you had 20, 30,000 Kohanim, priests, Levites, orchestra in the temple. So that's God was present and real, and everybody knew that, And of course, that only lasted a short time. But nonetheless, so that's like where we want to work. And then from there, then you have to move up to open the other levels, right? The throat center is that creative power and energy that brings inspiration and inspired music and inspired art and science and everything working at that whole other level, inspired speech and use of words and voice, which with all the fake news and all the things that are happening now is certainly not going on, but that's using the voice to bring God in the world and the purpose and plan and the great ideas of the divine and all humanity and the oneness of all religions and all peoples, that all those ideas coming in through the power of word and art and science all together. And then, then there's the opening up of the third eye means you reach a point where the Shekhinah has gone up. And again, each time the Shekhinah, right, we've been talking about this in the sessions, Shekhinah goes into the next center, it explodes the energy of that center, opened up. So here, imagine, when we talk about what the power of one person that's enlightened, imagining having people all over the world that their third eye is open and they're experiencing the kingdom of heaven, and there's a direct link and flow and pathway of energy to all those people and guidance and tangible experience and awareness of the higher worlds and the divine kingdom flowing through from them, And then imagine you get that Shekhinah up to the highest where it moves through into the will of God, breaks through heaven and earth are one. Right? You feel that there's no separation anymore. You can't call heaven earth or earth heaven, right? And that's what they say, right? We'll have a new heaven and a new earth, and day will be night and night will be day. And that's what it's all trying to express. And imagine that being a consciousness that flows across, because really the Shekhinah in its highest is when, and that's when a person individually becomes enlightened, is when that energy's up into the crown and the will of God flows into the power of the Shekhinah. So imagine the whole will filled with the desire to do the will of God rather than their own will, because it's just flowing in with such power everywhere. And so that's the Shekhinah, being fully alive in this world. And that's like, only that far. But so that's what we're talking about. That's what it means. And that's the role and the changes and the evolution and the awakening that needs to take place within us, within humanity, within the planet, within the relationship between the different realms. And of course, all those are, imagine that for that to happen here, all the development that has to happen, even those higher realms, to make it all possible, and the links and the coordination and all the lives and angelic life and all building that spiritual structure, because it is a structure of light and consciousness. That's the cosmic temple. Yes, exactly. And in fact, he also was, and on a personal level, they were going out there. And so, I spoke about this, I don't remember which session, but anyways, in the same way that, he would be seeing, but from him, where he'd gone that so much farther, that energy would be flowing to everyone with him. And therefore it's awakening of them. And so the Chadodei is becoming a real, not just prayer, but experience. And that's why they say right on Shabbat, they say the Shekhinah is in closer proximity to the divine. And or to the holy blessed one, or the higher aspects of divine, which really means there, and they talk about having an extra soul, and all this is connected together. It means there's a capacity to reach into that higher realm that is much more accessible, because there's an alignment that takes place at that time. And all the things we're supposed to do in Shabbat is to make us receptive to that alignment and to help increase its power and its strength. And that's why it's Shabbat Shalom, you need peace, right? It says God found no greater vessel for blessing than peace. So if we create that environment of peace, then the divine blessing can come flowing in. And so if you're sitting there on your cell phone all day, you're not going to create a lot of peace. And if you're running around shopping, you're not going to, but if you're focusing inward and you're creating harmony, and so that's the vessel, and all the laws that are meant, all kinds of other things happen, but that's what they're meant to do. I think that's enough for today.